and welcome to Race to Your Career. In this episode, we'll be joined by two members of the Careers in Racing team, and they'll be discussing some of the job opportunities in horse racing. So Michelle and Sean, thank you so much for joining me. If we begin this episode by hearing about your current role. Michelle?
Thank you for having us. So my name is Michelle. I'm the Careers Marketing and Recruitment Manager for the British Horse Racing Authority. I essentially promote careers, jobs and training within the industry and the brand Careers in Racing.
Brilliant. And Sean?
Okay, so my name is Sean. I work for the British Horse Racing Authority, in particular the Careersinracing team, as a careers marketing and recruitment assistant. And the main role of my job is showcasing the sport to people, all their routes in, where they can go, find out all the opportunities available to them in our sport. And I also look after the Careersinracing social media channels. So if you see anything being pushed out on those platforms, it's usually myself. And again, showcasing the sport to a wide range of audiences of what they can do and where they can go.
Fantastic. And of course, we're here today to learn more about careers in racing. So Michelle, can you explain in a short sentence what Careers in Racing actually is?
So it is a British Horse Racing Authority brand. It's a careers marketing brand. So it involves a website, like Sean said, our social media channels, and just a place where you can go to find out more about working in horse racing.
And when did it begin?
Oh gosh, I think it was about 16 years ago now. The brand was formed to provide a central place for people to go to find out more about jobs, careers, information, training and everything. And it was just a great idea at the time to put up a website. And it all sort of stemmed from there and it's grown and evolved. And it's now, I'd like to think of a very well-known brand within our industry of a one-stop shop of where to go to find out more.
Many people from the outside may believe your industry to be quite niche. You need to have experiences with horse riding. You must have had horses when you were growing up. Is that the case, Sean?
No, not at all. And that's a key part of our jobs every day to showcase you don't have to have been brought up around horses to have a career or a job in this sport. The Careers Racing Job Board showcases a vast mix of jobs working in more natural admin, IT, marketing roles. We do have the hands-on roles as well, do appear on our job board as well, but we've got various options in the industry where you can come in and you can be completely new to the sport, not around horses, and you can pick up those necessary skills and training to continue in that career. But no, it's not always just all about working with the horses and around the horses every day.
Do you help people progress in their careers rather than just getting in, Sean?
No, yeah, definitely. So definitely a progression program with us, especially as working with 16-year-olds. So when they're starting their apprenticeship, options after college, options after university. So it really is a progression and seeing that person, him or her, go through that career, go through various different jobs, helping them from work experience to going on different programs, applying for different roles. We always keep in touch with them as well, just to make sure how they're getting on in their new jobs or in their new roles. So no, it's very much a continuation process with them.
You spoke there about school leavers making that next step, which can be very scary and daunting. What about people who maybe are having a career change or maybe have got a degree? Can those people also do a career in racing?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got the development program for options after university for people now. You don't need to have a degree for that option as well. So that's another way into the industry as an early career path, as an early entry. Career changes, we deal with many a time. And again, how you sort of mentioned, people may think there's nothing for them if they've been a postman, for example, for 15 or 20 years, but they've just been a fan of the sport and a fan of horse racing. And that's what I've sort of come across with a lot of people when I speak to them at events. And I sort of say, well, no, we've got two training providers in the country, one, the British Racing School in Newmarket and the National Horse Racing College up in Doncaster, where that said person could pick up new skills to become ground staff, pick up turf management skill, and then the ground staff, 59 tracks across the country, he or she can be part of that team. So there is definite career changes that we deal with as well.
You spoke there about different locations. Are they the main 2 locations, and is there a better one? Because I mean, Newmarket is very famous.
It is very famous, but no, there's not better ones. They both mirror each other. They both offer the same qualifications for people, for students, for, like I said, career changers. Like I've mentioned, there's the one in Newmarket where we are today. We also have one in Scotland, the Scottish Racing Academy as well. So there is options and routes up and down the country.
Brilliant. And Michelle, moving away from progression and moving towards early careers programs, which is something that you offer, what are they and which varieties do you have?
We try to provide an in really for anyone, no matter where they are in their career. So we run several early career programs. So like Sean mentioned previously, our development program, so that's the British Horse Racing Development Program, which is open to anyone that wants to progress a career within the sport. It might be that you've done a degree course, you might have done a high-level apprenticeship, or have equal capabilities and skills to be able to apply for the programme. And that starts off with a 2-week induction course in Newmarket where you learn everything about the industry, and then an 8-week placement follows that, where you can then sort of test all those skills that you've just learned in a working environment and get paid for it as well. So that's one of them. We've also got the Racing Media Academy, which is relatively new. This is only been running 2 years now, but it really does hone in on all those media opportunities. So it's run once a year. Applications are normally in December, and people are interviewed in around February time for an April start, and that's a week-long intensive media training course, and then you go and do a placement at one of our media houses, so maybe ITV Racing, Sky Sports Racing, the Racing Post, Equine Productions. So it's a really great opportunity, and again it just shows that you don't have to want to work with horses necessarily to be in our industry. You can do so much more. We also have our Step on Track programme, which again is run sort of pretty much once a year in October half term, and that really we try to reach out to people that might not know about our industry from our underrepresented groups within the industry, to give them the opportunity to come and find out more about our sport. It is often people forget that we are a sport. So we're actually the second largest spectator sport to football, but we are the largest sporting employer. So we literally do have a job for everybody.
In terms of the application process then for all of those, Michelle, you mentioned a breadth of different opportunities there. Do they all have different application processes? Can you speak us through what that might look like?
So for our early career programs, the ones that we run ourselves, so Step on Track and the development program, you'll always find them advertised on our job board. So you can head there, and then it's an application process where you would have to fill in like an application form, attach your CV, and then that gets sent off to us. Again, the Racing Media Academy have their own website, so you would head to their website and apply directly with them. Sean mentioned earlier our racing schools as well. So for them, again, they have like an application form on their website, so young people can apply whenever they're ready. And it's pretty, it's just a step-by-step process. Just tell us as much as you can about yourself, so that we can then, review the application and then take it further if we can.
Do you have any advice or tips for people when it comes to applying to stand out? Maybe try and do this work experience and have that on your CV?
What we like to see is that people have got work experience. It doesn't have to be within racing. It can be any experience, just so that you've got something to bring to the table and you've got some skills that you can then work on and develop. So, just get out there and do whatever you can. Like Sean said earlier, we're really keen to help people to gain a work experience. So we always like people to get in touch with us, and we can try and help them find work experience, whether it's within a racing yard, at a racecourse, or one of our other industries, just to get that little foot on the door, really.
Sean, anything to add? Useful tips for those listening?
Useful tips will be is reaching out and networking. Many times, and I sort of when we deal with students, they could shy away from making that first step, sending an email or getting in contact with that person. But now with social media, you can get in contact with a lot of people very, very easily. So I would reach out. Do those days of work experience, if it's a 1 day or it's a 1 week, but freelance work during your holidays, and get in touch with us, the Careersinracing team, if it is a horse racing or a media world that you do want to get into. We deal with a lot of work experience students and content creators, and part of our youth collaboration group as well, where it is a mix of backgrounds where you can be sporty, you can be more marketing, can be more creative, you may want to do something front of camera, back of camera, and they've gone on to do stuff for the Careersinracing brand, put it on their CVs. It's on our platform, so it's a point of interest for an employee where they can go directly and see, okay, where this person, they've gone out of their way, they've gone out their time, and it boosts their portfolio as well. But yeah, I think work experience and a bit of freelance work, job shadowing is very key. And I would say reaching out now on many platforms to get hold of people. The worst thing they can say is no, but they shouldn't.
Or no reply, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the misconceptions. We spoke a little bit earlier about people thinking that you need to have had experience riding a horse before. There's this whole concept that jockeys need to be a certain height and build. What other misconceptions do you hear about, Sean?
Yes, definitely. That's probably one of the main ones that we get, and I get myself when they see our brand at an event. They say, I can only be or jockey or it's only betting, is with their natural go-to points, but it's not like that. That is one of the main misconceptions. It's not actually about your height being a jockey. It's down to weight. But as we've mentioned so far, there's various options you can do in the sport. And the good thing about the Careersinracing stand, we showcase all of them on our display board. So I do see students, I see parents looking over, taking it all in, all the different job roles, the media, the marketing, working on a race course, and I sort of see their eyes light up when I start speaking to them at an event, when I sort of hit something, when I say if they want to work in events. Again, it's something they just didn't think of, but events happen at a race course, building a race day. After the racing, there may be a musical event happening. So all of this stuff, we just engage with people. And so once we break through that barrier and that misconception that there's only really two areas they can go down, this is when we sort of come into our own as Careersinracing as a brand.
Michelle, are there any other misconceptions that you would like to dispel that Sean maybe didn't mention there?
I think about sort of career progression, I think people naturally assume, which is probably wrong, that working with horses, it's not going to take you anywhere, or it's going to lead to, you're just mucking out horses and that's it. But there's so much more to our industry. If you do want to work hands-on with horses, then there is like a clear career progression that you can follow, so that you can start off as a trainee racing groom, then become a racing groom, and then maybe a head groom, a travelling groom, an assistant trainer. So there is like clear lines of progression available. So there's just literally a job for anyone that wants to come and work in our industry.
Let's move away from what our listeners can do and hear more about your own journeys in your careers. So Sean, tell us a little bit about how you got to the role that you're currently in.
Okay, and so my background, I am a very, very sporty person, and after university, where I done a journalism degree, I worked for Ladbrokes. So I came from the betting side of the industry. So I was in the Ladbrokes head office. So it was very much a live broadcast studio type of environment. I'd done various roles in that Ladbrokes team for 8 years there. And after that, I went on to Eurosports, worked there for a year. Then I came to the British Horse Racing Authority, coming up to 5 years now in the team. And this was careers marketing, which was something completely new. I'd never done before, never worked in recruitment, never done a marketing role in my life. So I was just a big sports fan, big horse racing fan. And then coming into this role, I feel I've sort of excelled, picked up loads of new skills into this sport. And I sort of, when I'm speaking to other people, I'm sort of showing to them, I don't have a horse racing background, grew up in London all my life. We do have a few courses around London, but I've never had that interaction with horses myself. But I'm just showcasing that you can have a route and you can have a career progression in this sport, much like rugby, cricket, football as well. So yeah, so that is my sort of short journey into the British Horse Racing Authority.
As someone who's worked for different companies and in slightly different fields, what is the best thing that you think about working within this field?
Working with this field, I think it's our people interaction. We deal with industry people and their development. That's the key part of our team and my job. So how I've mentioned before, going to that career fair or that school fair or that apprenticeship show and seeing those students, speaking to those students, it may be for 5 minutes, it may be to the shy one at the back who's taking it a bit in, they don't want to sort of get involved too much with their friends, and just seeing that person, helping them along their career path. If it's an early career path, how I've mentioned, or if it's that career changer, that spear doesn't matter to me. So that's probably the most important and the key part of it, of helping that person on that journey into this sporting industry, wherever that may be.
I love that. You can hear the passion when you're talking about it. It's really nice. Michelle, give us a whistle-stop tour of your journey.
Oh gosh, if I can remember it all. So I was always into horses. As a child, I rode, and I'm fortunate to have my own horses and ponies sort of growing up. And did sort of A-levels at school. Didn't want to go to university because I couldn't leave my pony behind. So I looked for a job, and I found one working for, it was actually called Weatherby's at the time, which was racing's administrators, based in London as an office administrator. So I applied, got the job, and that's really where it started. You know, I've been sort of pretty much involved in the industry the rest of my career. I progressed up and became a licensing assistant, and then decided that I really enjoyed working with people. So I applied for a human resource position and did my CIPD through work, and continued to work with people. And I'm now into sort of careers marketing and recruitment, which again has just evolved really. And I've been sort of in the industry now for over 30 years.
And you support those young people or older, maturer people going through those programmes, don't you? How much do you enjoy seeing them grow and transition?
Yeah, that's to be honest, is the most enjoyable part of my job, is just watching somebody that you hear a name, you might have helped them, you might have emailed them, you might have got them work experience, and then a couple of years down the line you then see them leading up at the races, or you see their name on a job advert because they're now working for that company. So it is a real satisfaction watching people grow. Interestingly, the British Horse Racing Development Programme has been running for literally over sort of 30 years, and now some of the people that we interviewed sort of like many years ago are now CEOs in top companies, and I'm hoping they'll take me on one day if I ever need a job.
Okay, so let's talk nitty-gritty and the statistics. How many people are employed, Michelle?
So our industry employs around 85,000 people in jobs. That's sort of directly working with horses and also the whole surrounding area as well. So of those, I'd say around 7,500 people are what we call stable staff, so working in racing yards, and there's probably around 600 odd licensed racehorse trainers. We also have stud farms, so it's probably around 450 of those, and around 4,500 stud staff. So it is, a pretty huge industry.
And if someone's coming in having no idea what any of this is, what's a stud farm?
So stud farm is where we are here today, the National Stud. So they breed racing horses. So they would have stallions here that would produce the foals with the mares, and they would basically breed the next generation of racehorses.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that we're at the National Stud, which is in Newmarket, one of our locations you mentioned earlier, Sean. Where else can you work in the UK?
Well, the training provides, how I mentioned, the British Racing School in Newmarket. We have got the National Horse Racing College up in Doncaster, and then the Scottish Racing Academy up in Scotland. But we have got 59 horse racing tracks here in the country, so as far up north as in Perth, Scotland, and as far down south as in Exeter. So wherever there's a race course, there is a racing job, I always say to people, and that includes those race day roles working at the race course. So that could be working behind the bars, working on the doors, working as the chefs, working as hospitality roles. So all of those short-term roles where people can do over the summer, a bit of casual work on the weekend. So it's just another route into the industry.
They need one more to make it a nice round 60, don't they?
Yeah, we did have one actually. Was it Hereford that was closed? And Toaster. That was it. Toaster was another race course that shut down only recently.
Oh, okay.
It's also worth just pointing out that we kind of have like racing hubs as well across the country. So like we're here in Newmarket, which is often referred to as the home of horse racing. But we've also got another sort of large hub over in Lambourne in Berkshire, Epsom in Surrey, Morton and Midland in Yorkshire as well. So there you'll find a lot of racing establishments in one area. Which makes it quite nice. So if you want to work up there, it might be that you're a work rider and you ride horses for a living. So you would go and ride out for a number of different trainers within your area. So it just, again, adds a bit of variety to a role.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much you can do within this industry. I did want to ask, though, is working on race courses and race days, is that like the creme de la creme of working with horses? Is that seen as, you've made it? Michelle?
I think really if you're working hands-on with horses, then if you want to work with horses generally, racehorses is probably a very good option for you to do, because you do get that opportunity to travel around to the 59 racecourses that Sean mentioned earlier. You can also get the opportunity to go abroad. So many racing grooms would be travelling over to the Breeders' Cup in America or the Melbourne Cup in Australia, going to Dubai for the summer or their summer, and just, enjoying travelling around the country to all different racecourses. So it's a real opportunity to travel, really.
Going back to talking about the training side of things, how many traineeships or apprenticeships are available? Michelle?
So between all of our training providers, we offer around 250 what I would call horse-facing apprenticeships. So that would be at level 2 or 3. We've also got business apprenticeships. So you can do an apprenticeship based at one of our race courses if you wanted to learn more about marketing or administration and finance. And that's just another way into the industry, again, if you didn't want to work hands-on with horses.
So it's obvious throughout this conversation so far that you can gain so much experience in the industry, whether you're doing an early careers programme, development programme, whatever the case may be. But what about qualifications, Michelle? What can you gain?
So obviously we offer apprenticeships, so that's like I said before, at level 2 and level 3. You could then progress on and do a foundation degree in horse racing, and we actually do now have an MBA in racing as well. So there are different qualifications that you can do throughout your career, really. And what we also try and do is provide training opportunities for people to progress their career. So for example, if you're a racing groom and you think, I want to take that next step and become a head racing groom, then we do have like a supervisory skills course that you can do. Similarly, if you want to become an assistant trainer, there's an assistance trainers course. And obviously if you want to become a trainer, then there are sort of 3 modular courses that you need to do for that as well. So there's always career development that you can take out throughout your career. I've been in the industry for many years and I still learn stuff all the time.
That keeps it exciting, doesn't it?
It does. It's just, you're always learning something new about, and the sport changes as well, which is you've got to keep up with the times and just learn more as you go.
What kind of things change? Do you mean like regulations, procedures?
Yeah, regulations change all the time, whether it's sort of like, around welfare or, we've just changed the whip rules, for example. So it really is an ever-changing sport. I think like everything evolves, doesn't it, in life? And, you really have to keep up there, and we have to sort of keep changing the way we communicate with young people even. So, branching out with, TikTok that Sean now has started, a platform. So you just have to keep with the times and keep moving.
Hope you're doing some good dances on there, Sean.
There's some fun dances on there, but we do work with a lot of content creators as well as part of the Careersinracing brand. And the content creators, again, it's another way in for a person to sort of add to their CV, add to their portfolio. And that group have excelled on across our social media platforms, doing TikToks, videos, previews, interviews, reviews across all Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. So how Michelle sort of mentioned, ever-changing world, getting in front of a new audiences. We know they're on these online platforms, on these social media accounts, very much on their phones, and we as a sport have to be on there as well to engage with them and get in front of those audiences as well.
That in itself shows the variety. If you love making TikToks, you can have a job in racing, like Sean. Sean, tell us a little bit about the training centres.
Okay, so the training centres, how I've mentioned, they are residential, so it could be the first time a student is sort of moving out of their home, so they have those nerves. Those both all three training providers, how I've mentioned, that they will look after. So all those early nerves and everything like that, you will sort of bed in. And remember, you'll be with a group of students who are in a similar position as you as well. So they try and make it homely, as welcoming as best they can at the training centres.
And if you haven't had previous experience with horses, you've never owned a horse or ridden a horse, will it take you longer to complete the programmes?
Not necessarily. So the training providers, the courses run from 12 to 18 weeks naturally. So we do, and they would encourage, and they take in people who have never touched or been around horses before. But naturally, it's around 12 to 18 weeks for a student or a new person to complete the courses.
And Michelle, anything to add to what Sean's just said there about the training centres?
I think it's just important to realise that you don't have to have ever sat on a horse, touched a horse. We recruit all over the country, really, in inner cities, and we just want people that want to work with animals or maybe enjoy a sporting environment and like the outdoor life as well, because it's a very physical job, but it's a really great rewarding job as well.
If there's listeners today who are thinking, this sounds fantastic for me and I really want to do it, let's end the episode by kind of shining some light on some of the skills or personality traits that some people may want to have if they want to have a career in racing. Sean?
It would definitely be someone who's outgoing, enjoys the outside environment. Obviously, if you want to work hands-on with the horses, you're going to spend a lot of time outdoors. So that'll be definitely one criteria. Someone who's willing to work hard as well. It's a very physical aspect working in this sport, so you've got to be hardworking, physically fit and determined. Will be very key if you want to work hands-on with the horses. And then if you want to work in the more admin, IT, marketing, media roles like myself, I think you've got to be very hard when you've got to go out and get that experience or do your own bit of blogging or vlogging, whatever it may be. You do have to go that extra edge now because not just the horse racing world, I think the sporting role in general, you can see people creating their own content, doing their own interviews, going out and about, doing their own blogs and stuff like that. It's very, very competitive out there. So that'll be one key bit of advice as well. So go out and work hard, make that extra effort to get that interview or that person's email and reaching out. That'll be quite key.
Sean may have stolen them all there, Michelle, but any to add?
I think you've just got to enjoy what you do. I've like I said, been in my career for over 30 years and I absolutely love it. I enjoy working with people. I like seeing people excel. And I think, if you enjoy what you do, it makes the time go quicker and, you just enjoy yourself a lot more.
Michelle and Sean, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're very busy people, but it's been fantastic to learn some insights.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening or watching the Race to Your Career podcast brought to you by the British Horse Racing Authority. Make sure you head down to the description where there's plenty more information and helpful links. And don't forget to listen or watch the rest of season 1.